Hello, Jack. Welcome to One for the Road. How are you today, my mate?
All right, Dave. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Good lad. You've been busy, haven't you? You've just come back from Italy.
Yeah, I've been spending some time out there this summer. Went out at the start of last month, July the 5th. Yeah, to get a bit of sun. I fucking hate the winter and miserable weather, and which is normally what it's like in the UK. Although it's been hot this summer here, but so yeah, I thought I'd go out to Italy for a few weeks, ride my motorbike, live the dream, you know.
You got a cool motorbike, mate. I know that.
Yeah.
I've never, do you know what? I've never ever been on a motorbike on my own. Like I've
Have you
never done
not?
it. My dad put me off when I was really young, and I bought a Hillman Hunter when I was 16. Don't tell
Okay.
the feds, but I drove it home from Wimbledon. Well, I hadn't even passed my test, right? And when I got it home, my dad put it up on the ramps, and all the chassis was falling out. It was just a complete old banger. So that was my experience. So I should have kept to a motorbike, but anyway,
Fabulous.
mate, we met the other day, didn't we, in the 100 Club? That's the
Yeah.
first time we met, although we follow each other on Instagram, and we met through Adrian Cox because he was hosting the Joe Webb album launch that evening, and we got on
Yeah.
like we've known each other for years, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're a wee lad.
I'm a wee
And I
lad.
loved the company that we shared that evening. So I asked you that evening to join me today on this podcast, which I'm really honoured to have you on as a guest. So thanks for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's
Yeah, and
absolute pleasure.
brilliant. And you've got an interesting story as well. So let's go, as I like to say, all the way back to how it
Yeah.
was for you growing up and where you were shared your childhood and what that looked like.
Yeah. So I grew up in a place called Alsager, which is in deepest Cheshire, right on the border of Stoke-on-Trent. I like to say Cheshire because it sounds a bit more classy than Stoke-on-Trent. Um, but yeah, so I grew up here, lived here all my life, and I'm still here currently. Spent since then a lot of time on the road and living in sort of different places, and like as I just like being in Italy, spent a few weeks over there, and yeah. But so yeah, born and bred Cheshire. So yeah, I was quite lucky, really. I had quite a good upbringing. Um, but the one big thing is, sadly, my dad died when I was the age of 4. Um, but aside from that, everything else in my life, I'd say, was pretty bloody good. Um, but yeah, brought up just by my mum. No one else was involved with my mum after that. Um, so yeah, but I guess all the stuff to do with my dad dying at such a young age definitely went on to impact my
Mm,
life a
mm,
lot. I don't really remember too much from that time, but I do remember the day I was told he was dead. At the age of 4, I remember being taken out of school and yeah, all that sort of stuff. I had a sister, so I got a younger sister, Ella, and she literally just been born. She was born in the January of 1997, and he died. I think it was the April, so she was 4 months. I think
mm,
that's right. Um, so yeah, apart from that, my life upbringing, I guess, up until the age of 10, 11, 12, was really quite normal. My mum's fucking brilliant. She's just the best. Really sort of liberal and sort of do what you want. And yeah, I've always had the freedom, I guess, to explore the things I wanted to explore.
mm.
Um, so yeah, apart from the obvious, life was quite good. Money was a little bit tight and stuff like that, but luckily there's some money in the family, so we've always had a bit of help from that side of stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, school was definitely something I didn't like.
Like most of us.
Like most of us, I think I really did hate it with a passion because it's always stopped me from doing what I wanted to do.
Mm,
Um, and then yeah, primary school I had, I guess, a lot of the issues coming up from my dad, and I was so angry, such an angry child at the sort of end of primary school age, um, and also being quite. I've always been wanting to be the best at stuff, and I think that transpires all throughout my life. But at school, I always felt I'd be the top of my class, and then they say, "Well, we can't really do. There's not much more you can do, more work and stuff. But I want to do more challenging stuff. So when they said, "Oh no, you can't do that," I'd just lose interest, which then would create a bad vibe at school, and then I'd start misbehaving. But it got to the point where I just didn't want to be there, and luckily my mum was fully on board with that. But yeah, to the point where having meetings with teachers, I ended up being. I think this. I'm right in saying this. I must have been quite at the age of 9 or 10, but I remember one of the teachers in my primary school, I think it was the headmaster, said, "No, you got to come in, Jack. You got to come into school." And I was just like, "Fuck that," and ended up kicking him.
Oh,
And it
really?
was that, yeah. That sort of level of retaliation, rebellion, I guess, to it.
Was that a reaction from your dad dying, do you think? Like the anger?
It was definitely part of it. Yeah. I
Mm.
was just the most angry kid. And I think I didn't really understand why it happened at that age. And yeah, so I think my mum took me out of primary school for the last, say, 6 months of it. I never did my, I can't remember what they're called at that age, your tests, but I never did any tests at the end of primary school. And then, yeah, went back into education at high school at the age, I'm not really sure the ages of when these
11, I
things
think.
start. Is it 11? Yeah. And at this point, I guess I was quite healthy. I was really into tennis. That's what I wanted to do before. I'll tell you more about it later. Before I discovered music, um, and yeah, I wanted to be a tennis coach. And I was massively into. I'm an addict through and through. So anything I like, which gives me pleasure, I want to do it all the time, like most of us are.
Yeah, all or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't matter what it is. I want to do it, all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, high school. So I went into high school, but still with the same idea of school. I did not want to be there because at this stage I just wanted to play tennis 24/7, and I was quite good at it. So I knew that I could probably get somewhere with it. Anyway, that was that. From this point, I'm now a musician, but I've always had music in my life. My dad was a professional drummer. My granddad was a professional drummer. And then even going back further than that, my uncles are musicians. My great granddad was a French or tenor horn player in Foden's band, which was a big brass band in
Wow.
Sandbach or Elworth in Cheshire. Foden's is in the truck company. So yeah, there's always been music in the family. And when my dad died, we had all the drums in the house still. But I was never really. It was never something I felt like I had to do. It was never forced upon me. It's like, right, you have to play the drums, and so I guess around the sort of age of 10, 11, I started to get a bit more interest for it. And then, yeah, started school. And I think I was age 11 or 12, and then my granddad died, who was my dad's dad, at the age of 62. So my dad was 32. Yeah, so going back a bit, I guess, my dad died of drinking, the lifestyle of being on the road as a musician. And then that's what my granddad also died of in terms of, yeah, it was heart disease, but a lifetime of drinking 20 pints of beer a night and smoking 50 cigarettes. And so, but yeah, he sadly died then. I guess I was about 11, 12. And I remember going to his funeral, which was just full of musicians. It was just a big fucking party, really. And yeah, our friend Adrian Cox was there because he knew my granddad quite well.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. And I was, yeah, quite young at that age, but I remember being in the atmosphere of the drinking, the partying, the music, and yeah, that really got me. I was like, fucking hell, this is what I want to do. And yeah, just that whole atmosphere of fun, which, well, what I thought was fun at the time, and I guess it was fun at the time. Um, yeah, so that was that, and that's when I first properly discovered music, I guess, in that form. And then that just made the whole going to school thing even worse because I became absolutely obsessed. I forgot about tennis quite
I was
quickly.
going to say, did that go out the
Yeah.
window? The tennis racket was in the bin within about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I still have a huge love for it, and I'll play very occasionally now. But I found my calling, so to speak. I think.
Mm.
So yeah, that. And then I think at that age, I always had older friends, and even from the primary school age, the last couple of years of primary school, I used to be quite into skateboarding, and that I used to go out. My mum used to let me go out on my skateboard into the town, and I'd hang out with people, I guess, who were probably about 16, 17 at that age, and they were all starting to smoke weed and drink a few beers, and even then I started to dabble in that. But then I found tennis, and I was like, no, I'm going to be super fit. But then I guess once I found the music, I went straight back to that thing, and that's when I'd say 11, 12, 13, I would start going out, meet some of these friends, and yeah, start getting pissed at the weekend.
Mm.
And I started dabbling in smoking weed as well, which was never really my thing. I did it because everyone else was doing it, and it's yeah, I guess it's that whole peer pressure thing. But my thing has always been drinking. So yeah, that's about the age when I first started to discover. At my granddad's funeral, I remember having a few pints. Some of the music I was like, oh, go on, Jack, have a few beers. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, fucking great. I felt like part of the club.
How old was you again at your
So that
granddad's funeral?
I'm trying to. I don't remember the exact dates or age. I think I was about 11 or 12.
Bloody hell, that sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, to give you a background of my dad and my granddad, they were really quite well known in the jazz world. I'm a jazz musician. They were jazz
Yeah.
musicians, and they were known for their party element of their lives. And everyone knew, especially my granddad, is like his name was Pete Cotterill, the big fucking drinker, really big fat bastard. It's about, must have been about 25 stone at his biggest. Smoked big cigars and yeah,
Yeah.
carry around. So he'd wear shirts with two pockets on the front, and he'd have a pint in each one of those, and then he carried 2 pints. So he'd have 4 pints
My
on the go.
God.
Yeah, a larger than life character. So I grew up thinking that music was all about that because even though I don't remember seeing my dad play at all.
Mm.
I remember briefly seeing my granddad play, but I had my dad used to actually document stuff with videos. So I had all these videos I used to watch when I was a kid. A lot of it was them playing, but obviously a lot of it was behind the scenes as well. And it was them just getting fucking arseholed. So then my immediate association is with music is alcohol and the
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was quite young when I first started realizing that, and yeah,
Mm.
having my first drink. So I don't actually remember my first drink. It was way before that, and I think it was probably the end of primary school with these older people. Um, but then, yeah, I remember 12, 13, I'd say was the age when I was like really discovering it. And my nan, so my granddad's wife on my dad's side, she used to take me down to the local pub where they'd have jazz on every Thursday night, I think it was. And I'd go and I'd play a few numbers with the band. But what I was really more interested in was getting pissed at the bar in the local pub. And I used to get bought pints of mild because it looked the closest thing to a pint of Coke. So you could sort of hide it discreetly. And that was that. And that's what got my music career started. I was practicing like fuck all the time. But it was 13, 14 was the time I sort of got playing with a few bands. And then I got a call at the age of 14 from a band. It was based in Nottingham. So it wasn't that close, but it was a band between people between the ages of 40 to 60.
Mm.
And I was 14, 15 at this time. All pretty big drinkers. So yeah, that's the real big start into that world and life of drinking and partying.
Did you feel like you grew up quicker, being that you didn't have your dad around?
I'd say 100% yes with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're forced into growing up quicker,
yeah,
especially when it's just my mum on my own with a younger sister. Um, but then I think on the other hand, I wanted to grow up quicker.
yeah.
I don't know if that was something which
You didn't fit into the child mindset.
no.
Like with primary school and whatever, you just didn't want to be there. It's almost like you wanted to be. And to be honest, when I met you, you are an old soul in a young body.
Yeah,
You're quite a mature chap for your age and that. And maybe that's part of it. You growing up younger, but to start a bit like Adrian Cox, I think he was 14, 15 when he started in that band, and they were all older. And you have to fit in, don't you? And part of the fitting in is the drinking, because you want to keep up with it all, don't you?
yeah, it's that thing of being part of the club, and it's like
Yeah.
you feel like you have to prove yourself, and it's like this is what you have to do to be part of this world. And looking back at it, it's fucking mental, really. At
Mm,
that age, it's like adults of all ages being on board with someone like myself or Adrian at such a young age,
mm,
um, getting out of our fucking heads. But then I guess these people were doing the same thing themselves, so they were really aware of the consequences.
mm,
And I think a lot of them still aren't aware of the consequences because sadly a lot of people have died, and a lot of people are sort of trapped in that world of addiction and still in the same life. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone's fortunate to escape it.
mm.
Um, but yeah, it was the real start of life to come for the next foreseeable future. But I definitely do. Even now, I don't really feel like I've had a childhood.
No, no.
Uh,
So
but
did you move away, or did you stay in this band and travel from home? How did that work?
so what happened then? I joined this band, and luckily my mum was on board with that.
She
And
sounds amazing, by the way.
yeah, she's fucking brilliant. Like, honestly, to this day, I couldn't ask for a better mum. She is
Yeah.
the fucking best. So so yeah, I joined this band which was based in Nottingham. I still stayed out at my mum's in Cheshire. I obviously didn't drive at this age, so I wasn't old enough. So I had a drum kit based in over in Nottingham, so I'd often get the train across and get a lift with one of those. And then, or my mum would give me a lift when she could, or family. My nan helped me out loads. I basically just asked in help off everyone to get to these gigs, um, because I still had to go to school, which was a bit of a problem. Um, so I ended up having so much time off school at the age of 14, going into 15. Um, the school got really pissed off, and it wasn't because they actually gave a shit about my education. It's because it looked bad on their records.
Mm,
Um, and they basically said it got to the point where they said, you either fuck off the music and come into school full time and stop having all this time off, or you leave the school and you figure something else out. Basically, they'll kick me out. And we obviously have to be in the UK, we have to be in education full time. It was then to the age of 16, and now I think it's 18, some form of education. But luckily for me, it was 16. If it was 18, fuck knows what I would have done. But um, we found a loophole which meant that I could be homeschooled by my mum. So yeah, I think it was the very start of maybe the last year of school or halfway through the second to last year. I can't actually really remember. Bear in mind, a lot of this is a bit of a blur because I was getting shit faced at this point in my life,
mm,
doing all these gigs and having late nights and getting in at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning and having to get up at 8 a.m. for school,
mm.
with a fucking hangover. Um, but yeah, so we took the decision after a meeting that I was going to be homeschooled by my mum. But the final straw was I had a music class, and I won't name any names, but this one particular teacher, um, obviously a lot of music teachers, and this is not all music teachers, but they teach because they haven't made it as a professional performing musician. I know a lot of teachers teach because they love the job, so it doesn't apply to them. But in this circumstance, it was definitely someone who was bitter about not making it as a professional musician in a life sense. And it was all known amongst the school that I did what I did, and I was on the road, and I was sort of, amongst some people, a bit strange because I would play jazz music, which was what old people like, and people would take the piss out of me for that. Which, to be honest, at the time I couldn't care less because I was earning more money than the parents. So I was thinking, well, I don't know why are you taking the piss out of me? But then on the other hand, a lot of people were, oh my God, that's so cool. And so it was one day in a music class, and this teacher said to me, he said, oh, Jack, will you get up in front of the class and do a drum solo? And I said, no, fuck that, because that is my worst nightmare and still is. Playing to like people I know in a very close area, like really close friends and stuff. I find that intimidating. I'd rather play on a stage to 200,000 people. So I said, no, I'm not doing that. And he got really angry, and he said, well, he's like, I don't think you're ever going to make it as a professional musician. And that I just saw red. And again, I was still angry at this age. I got involved in a lot of fights at high school. It'd take one thing of someone saying something to me, I'd turn around and just hit him square in the face. And I was a big guy at school compared to other people. And I was so angry because I didn't want to be there, because at this point it really was stopping me playing music as much as I could. And I knew it was holding me back. And I still believe that. I think if I left even earlier, I might even be further ahead, but it doesn't matter. But so yeah, this teacher said that, and I just went for him. I was like, right, fuck it, you're having it. And luckily, one of my good friends had sort of stepped in the way, held me back, said, Jack, I think it's time to leave. So it was that day. That was the last day I ever went to school. I told my mum obviously about it. She went in, went fucking mental at the head of the school, and yeah, it was the area I'm from. I guess it's quite split, all Sager, but there's a lot of money there, I think, and it attracts that middle class sort of vibe. And the school was very much like that. So they think, oh, musician, well, that's not a proper job. So at that point, I set out, and luckily I had this effect on me of, I'm going to prove them all wrong. And so that's basically what I've gone on to try and do my whole life. And I still walk past that school today thinking, thank fuck I'm not there. But it's like, well, look at me now. After all the things you said I wouldn't achieve, I've achieved it.
It's amazing, isn't it? How many times it happens? You won't do this, and
yeah,
I think it was Christina Aguilera was bullied at school for years and years, and then she knew this girl worked in a McDonald's drive-through and went through in a chauffeur-driven car. It's like, I'll have a cheeseburger and chips, please.
Fabulous! I love it.
Yeah. So that carried on then, and when did your drinking get to a stage that was really bad?
So I think it's always been pretty bad, and I just didn't realise it. So like everything in my life, if I like to do it, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it all the fucking time. And I'm going to do it the best I possibly can. I want to be the best at everything, not because I want to show, like, it's not an egotistical thing. I think it's because I want to prove to myself that I can do these things. So yeah, 14, 15, I was in this band on the road, and at the time it was a really busy band. We'd be doing 15 to 20 gigs a month, staying in travel lodge hotels at the side of the motorway. We'd drive all day, do a gig. Yeah. living the life of luxury. And then we get back to the hotel, and I used to room with two guys who were really good friends. One is sadly dead now, the other's still about. And we were drinking partners as much as we were colleagues.
Mm.
And so, yeah, started drinking a lot then. I can't really remember the quantities, but there's enough to sort of, yeah, pass out an adult, I guess. And I built up a tolerance so quick. And I think as much as the drumming was in me and my blood from my family, I think the drinking was too.
Mm.
I definitely think it's something inherent. You inherent uh, the tolerance as well.
I think it's that and learned behaviour. You know,
Yeah.
um, what was you drinking?
So back then, I started on beer, but I quickly realised I didn't really like beer. I was drinking beer because that's what everyone thought I should drink.
Mm.
Then I got onto cider, and I used to be really into Weston's
Mm.
cider. My uncle got me into it when I was again about 15, and we used to make one Henry Weston's. It was one of
Yeah,
the black bottle,
yeah,
8.2%, and
yeah,
you could buy 3 bottles for £5. And what's
yeah.
fucking mental? You can still buy 3 bottles for £5,
I
even though that
know.
was 10 years. Yeah, it's not going up with inflation. Um, but so I started drinking a lot of that, and then I discovered wine. So you can see the pattern here. It's getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Mm.
So then I'd buy for after a gig 2 or 3 bottles of wine. I'd be drinking on a gig a few drinks. I'd always on a gig I'd try and not get too shit faced because I was so paranoid about playing shit.
Mm.
Um, because at the end of the day, music's always been the thing which really had come first. But then after the gig had finished, that'd be it. Right, bang! I am getting fucking paralytically pissed as quick as I possibly can. Um, so yeah, at this point, I was drinking wine a lot of the time. Anything I could get my hands on, but wine was my go-to. You buy 3 bottles for a tenner back then.
Yeah, and that's
Uh,
probably not the same now. But like, it's interesting what you say there. That when you finish the gig, you would get as pitched as you can. Because I had Cher, a Delican bass player of the Gorillas on, and
yeah,
that's what he struggles with the most now is after the gig because you've got the massive adrenaline from the gig, and then from that, it was a bit like when I was on the TV makeover show. You'd finish and you would all drive like lunatics to the hotel so you can get
yeah,
absolutely out of your head. And it's
yeah,
like now we don't drink. It's like, well, is that not enough? Do you know what I mean? That the
yeah,
fact that you had a really, really good gig, you played the drums well, and
yeah,
it's like an odd mindset when you come out of it, isn't it? It's like let
yeah.
back in.
It takes a long time to come down from
Yeah,
that, doesn't it? It's
yeah,
like, and I guess it's finding ways to manage that and
yeah.
even channel that energy into it. Like last night, I had a gig, and it was in terms of gig times. It finished. I was home by midnight. It was quite early. And I was like, shit, I don't really feel like going to sleep. So then I sat up and I had some admin work to do. I did that till 2, 3 a.m. So then I put that, and then I was tired. Went to bed. So I get put that energy into that sort of stuff.
You can't do the same though, is it? I mean,
No,
this is the thing. This is where people struggle sometimes, and sometimes it's accepting that. Like, I'm a bit of a bugger for being honest, right? And sometimes I
yeah,
say there actually isn't anything that you can replace it, the void. But
no,
sometimes you just have to do the best you can with it. Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
because there's that huge high from the gig, and then there's the immediately the 2, 3 bottles of wine. Yeah, I can keep this going
Yeah,
until you pass out. But then the
yeah,
consequences after are hideous, aren't they?
yeah. It's the fucking absolute worst.
Yeah. So sorry, mate. You went from the Henry Weston ciders that were my go-to and my little trick.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, absolutely right. Well, back in the day when I was younger, it was Diamond White.
Yeah, nice.
And you could get 8 cans for £5 and get apps. It was like literally pouring like paraffin down your neck.
Yeah,
It would do the job, right? But my trick with the Henry Westons, I used to just scratch a little bit on the label where the 8.2% was off, so no one could see it. You know.
fucking
So
hell.
yeah.
Yeah,
So and it's a cumulative. It goes to show it's a cumulative because you started on the mild, then you went on to the wine,
yeah,
the cider, then on to the wine. You know,
exactly. And then, so I guess by the time I got to 18, which was the legal age to go out and party, I was already a professional drinker. So all my friends, bear in mind, a lot of my friends at home were also quite into drinking from a young age. For some reason, the place where I'm from, I don't know if it's every small town, but it was just fucking rife for drinking and drugs. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on about that more later, but like it's mental how many drugs are here now, even more so than the city. It's just, but so I don't know if it's that thing. Oh, there's nothing to do in this small town.
Mm.
Let's get out of our heads. It could be that, but it seemed particularly bad in Alsager. Anyway, but so yeah, 18. I think it really started to spiral out of control because at that point I was making quite decent money. I was doing a lot of gigs. I didn't have any overhead, and apart from my car, I passed my test at 17. My mum made me do it because no one wanted to give me lifts anymore because it was taking their life as
And of
well.
course,
So
you passed first time, right?
I did
Of course
first
you
time.
did.
um, so yeah, there was one moment in which, looking back now, I don't know how I didn't realise this was an issue, but I had a gig in Denmark, and I was 17, so I remember because I'm not long past my driving test, and I had a really horrible early morning flight from Stansted Airport. It was 3 hours from my house, and it was one of these Ryanair flights at like 6:30 in the morning, the cheap takeoff time. But
Mm.
so I thought, oh god, I've never been an early morning person ever. I'm more so these days actually, but when I was drinking, I was so far from it. I thought, what I'm going to do is I'll drive down the night before, and I'll put a mattress, like an airbed, in the back of my car. I had a quite big car, and I'll sleep in the back of the car, and I'll get up and get the flight. Got there, did that fine, went to sleep, woke up, went and got the flight, and the gig I had was in a pub in Aarhus in Denmark, little tiny pub, and I'd been invited over by there's a trombone player over there I knew, and funny enough, Adrian Cox was there as well.
Oh.
Yeah, we've known each other all our lives pretty well, all my life, but and it was a little tiny gig, and it was just a great pub, and I wanted to go over and do it. But part of the deal was free booze, and you could also smoke inside this pub because this was after the smoking ban in the UK, but in Denmark, and I think it still stands. It was if the pub's under 50 square meters and it doesn't serve food, you can still smoke inside. But what that means is you don't have to leave the pub to get fresh air ever. I've always been a heavy smoker, so I get there. I get to this pub. I think fucking great. And I think I got there Saturday late morning to the pub. The gig wasn't till Sunday afternoon, and I was meant to be staying at a friend's house that night who was also at the pub. I turned up at the pub and I was like, "Oh, what do you want to drink?" Instantly in that atmosphere, like, right, let's get fucking wasted.
Mm.
And I just sat there, and they served a beer called, I think it was Cockney Stout, and it was about 10%. But they also, yeah, they had Weston's Old Rosie cider on draft there as well. So it was all that level of stuff, which I was really into. And I just sat there for fucking hours doing shots of Jägermeister, chain smoking cigarettes, and I just sat there all night in this fucking pub until it got to the point I was like, shit, I feel like I could actually do with a break and go to bed. So I said to the guy I was staying with, I was like, I need to go. And this is like, I think midnight or something. So I've been in there like 12 hours or something. And anyway, so he's like, right. And I sort of knew Aarhus. I'd been there before, and I wasn't totally blind to the city. And he gave me his key, and he's like, right, you go up there and you go there, blah, blah, blah. So I'm right, cool. And I stepped outside the pub, and I just remember, bang, all this fucking drinking hit me. And it's a bit strange because I sort of remember a lot of what happened, which I'm surprised about now. But I don't know if that's something with being so young, it might work differently on the brain, an undeveloped fucking brain, do you know what I mean? But I remember stumbling around trying to find where to go, and I just could not process anything.
Mm.
And all I had with me was this little shoulder bag, which had my drumsticks in it, a pair of fucking boxers. I had my phone in my pocket, My car keys were in my pocket, but everything else, my passport, everything was in that bag. And I remember just thinking in my head, I said, shit, so where am I going to sleep? Because I can't find this place. And I just knew. And for some reason, I thought I was back in Stansted. And I remember I stumbled across this car park. I said, shit, that's the car park where I left my car. I remember trying to get into everyone's fucking car with my keys. Like, oh, there's a bed in the back, so I could sleep in the back of the car. I'm in the wrong fucking country. It's never going to work. And then I ended up at a train station. And this is like getting later and later. I end up in this train station, fall asleep in the waiting room. The next thing I remember is a security guard or a police officer or someone official waking me up. And I had that thing. I fell asleep with my sort of head between my legs, facing forward. They woke me up, and I just threw up everywhere, including this fucking whoever it was. I got kicked out straight away. I stumbled out and fell asleep in this bus stop. And I remember waking up in the bus stop, and it was light. I remember thinking, shit, I need to like go to somewhere I know. I was like, I know where the pub is now. And I was getting, I guess, a bit more sober by this point. I was like, I'll go to the pub. I walked off down the road. I was like, shit, where's my bag? Someone had either stole it or had left it somewhere I was suffering. I lost my bag with everything in it. So at this point, I don't have a passport. I don't have a driving license. I don't have any bank cards. I have no money. The only thing I have is my car keys and my phone, which is a bit of a blessing in the long run. But anyway, I thought, shit, I'll go to the pub, deal with it later. And at this point, I get to the pub probably 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. The gig starts at 1 p.m. I walk into the pub and I was like, shit, you all right? I was like, and I told them the story and they're like, instantly, do you want a drink? I was like, yeah, fuck it. Straight back on it. Did the gig. I remember the gig actually being quite good, and then dealt with the consequences of the whole thing. Because I had a flight back, I think it was Sunday night, missed the flight. Monday morning, luckily some of the pub let me stay with them. I was like, shit, what am I going to do? So now I'm a 17-year-old in fucking Denmark with no ID, wondering, with no money, wondering how the fuck I'm going to get back to the UK. And all of that is booze, because I've always been a self-sufficient person. Even from the age of 13, 14, I could get around the country on my own. And so that was booze what did it. And at that point, that all seemed quite funny to everyone, including myself. So to cut a long story short, I basically, luckily, one of the local people at the pub gave me some money. They put me up for a week. I had to then go to Copenhagen to the embassy, the British embassy, to get an emergency passport. And yeah, I got home, but about £1,000 down when I was going to go out there and make money, with a real big fucking hangover.
Sounds horrendous.
Yeah, so that was the moment.
I've had many of things when I've gone out to Belgium and that, and all those beers are like 9-10%.
Yeah.
And I've had a whole, honestly, I don't think I could drink one now.
No.
Moving on, Jack, like, obviously that carried on because you're 4 years sober now, right?
Yeah.
So you're 29 now?
I'm 29 now, yeah.
So 25, you gave up boozing. At what stage of your life did you realise that actually enough was enough?
So I guess I got massively into cocaine probably around the age of 21, 22. And that's when shit really started going south, because I was never really into cocaine. It was just an enabler to carry on drinking more and more and more, which I never had a problem with anyway. I do fucking 48-hour benders just with booze. You throw cocaine into the mix, you're up for a week. And that, then I was drinking, some days I'd drink 3 bottles of scotch a day plus bottles of red wine. And I'd wake up in the morning and 9 a.m. be like, right, fucking hell, bottle of whiskey. It was a time I was over in Switzerland for a week doing some gigs, and every morning I'd wake up and have a bottle of Johnny Walker Red Label, and that was it. That was breakfast. Do you know what I mean? it was at this point people started saying to me, I think you've got a bit of a fucking issue, Jack. And it went from being quite fun, people wanted to drink with me because I was the party person, to like people were really worried about me.
Mm.
And like sort of close people, do you know what I mean? People who knew me and know me for a long time. But then my reaction to that is, and like how everyone who has an issue is, I know, fuck off. And then I'm going to drink more actually. Um, but then I started to get really depressed. I had a situation where I'd been over in Switzerland actually for a week. I hadn't really slept the whole time, and then the last few days I didn't sleep at all. Got back to the UK. I had a night off in the UK. Still didn't go to sleep. I got fucking wasted and stayed up all night. And then the next day I had a gig in Leeds. I had to drive to this gig, which again in hindsight is stupid. Must have been so over the limit. Drove to this gig, did the gig. Halfway through, I was like, shit, I feel I'm going to die. And I said to the guys, I was like, I can't do this. And I had to walk off stage, and I went and sat in this back room. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I was like, fuck, going yellow. I was like, I think this is it. My liver's failing. Because
Yeah.
I'd often get jaundice in my eyes, and I could feel my liver was all swollen. And I've come to realize I think I had something called ascites, which is where you get fluid
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. You look pregnant.
Yeah. I didn't realize what that was actually until in the last year.
Yeah.
So I think I was very close to death. And I remember driving back that night from that gig. I didn't finish the gig. I went and lay down outside in the end. And I was on the M62, and all my left arm started going numb, and then my whole body. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm having a heart attack. And then obviously my dad suffered a heart attack. That's what happened to him. And I thought, shit. I was like, this is it. This is me. This is happening to me now. At the age of what? Well, I was still young. Do you know what I mean? So I pulled over on the hard shoulder and called the ambulance. I said to him, I was like, shit, I'm having a heart attack. And he said, right, sent an ambulance out. I actually took the ambulance a fucking long time to get there, which I was shocked at, considering I was on the motorway and potentially having a heart attack. And I came to terms with the fact I was going to die. I was like, fuck it. And at that point, I relaxed. And then all the symptoms started to be relieved. And again, the ambulance turned up, they did loads of tests, and they said, I think you've done a bit too much, but you just had a huge fucking panic attack.
Mm.
And it was at that point I then started, after that, I spent about the next 4 to 6 weeks in bed. I didn't leave the house. I couldn't do anything. I was fucked, basically. I did stop drinking at that point for those weeks. So, but then I suffered with depression and anxiety, and then that coupled with more drinking, more drugs, it was just a vicious circle. So that was the start of the spiral down. Loads of stuff started to happen, like debt. I was in and I still am. I'm still paying the price for it, but I just take out loans and credit cards and tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt just to go out and buy drugs, really, and booze, and really dangerous situations I put myself in. Which again, all the time I was praised for it. Fucking hell, Jack's so cool. He goes, and
What a lad! You're a legend.
yeah, there's a time I was in Milan, and I'd taken out a consolidation loan to try and sort my debt out, but I had a few grand on extra to have a party with. And I thought, fuck it, me and my mate went to Milan next year, and I'm in this back room with all these strippers, cocaine everywhere, bottles of whiskey. It was like something out of a film. Do you know what I mean? But the difference was, I don't earn millions of pounds. And I did about £1,500 in space of 20 minutes. And it was just like, so yeah, I was living a quite full life. But the final straw, I tried to cut down. I was like, right, I'm just going to drink Guinness, because I've always loved Guinness, and it's only 4% or whatever it is, 4.1%. And I'll have a few pints of Guinness, because at this point I was drinking single malt Scotch. That's all I'd fucking drink, or vodka, or anything, the strongest fucking, even absinthe. I'd go and drink glasses of absinthe, 80%. And so I tried to cut down. I had a girlfriend at the time, my first serious girlfriend, and yeah, I I'd drink 3 pints of Guinness or so, and then it built up. And by the end of it, I was drinking 20 pints of Guinness a fucking night, which then just cost me a load of money. I wasn't really getting pissed because it was too weak. So then I was like, right, I'm really going to cut down. And then, yeah, September the 29th, 2018, I just had a huge blowout in the presence of my girlfriend who hated cocaine and drugs. And so I would always be like, I'm never doing it in front of you. I ended up at dealer's house somehow, who was a sort of mutual friend as well with my girlfriend. And it was just, I'm a big pile of cocaine on the side. I just stuck my head in it, fired away. Do you know what I mean? And it was that next day, that relationship ended basically because of that. She said, I can't fucking do this. And that's when I realized, I was like, shit, I'm a fucking addict and an alcoholic. And so it was at that point, obviously, so many things. There's never one thing, is there? But that's when I realized I've got to fucking sort this out.
And
So, yeah,
that was at the moment.
that was the moment. It was that next day. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, age 25, I spoke to my very good friend Adrian Cox, who you know.
Well, I think people listening to this know as well, because he's been on
Yeah,
the podcast and he had quite a similar hectic thing himself. But 25, man, and
yeah.
that's quite a story. Thanks for sharing that.
No, it's all right.
So how did
So
you
yeah,
deal with it then? Like, because that's quite a catalogue of events leading up to that. So did you just go cold turkey and stop?
yeah. So I wasn't drinking as frequently at that stage. I do like every other weekend. I'd get a bit pissed. Because prior to that, I would drink, say, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it sometimes become Monday as well, because Monday's the musician's day off. But then what I do is, because I was always quite aware I didn't want to be this fucking person who's pissed all the time, because I knew that I couldn't do my stuff. So there was something that kicked in, like, right, I've got to have at least a few days sober. But all I was doing each week was withdrawing. I'd have all the withdrawals. So each week I was going into cold turkey, which is the worst fucking thing you can do. But luckily, by the time I actually got to the point where I was like, right, I've got to stop, I wasn't quite there of the physical dependence. I dealt with that prior. But I went and spoke to Adrian and I said, look, man, because I knew he was in recovery. I was like, I've got a real fucking, I was in a right mess. I was suicidal at this point. I don't think I was going to act on it, but I was having those thoughts. I was at level of depression. And thank fuck I spoke to Adrian, because I owe him my life, really. It's, he's like, right, I'll come down, I'll come up to you he was in London at the time. Straight away, I was like, look, man, I prefer to get away from my situation. I'll come down to you. So I went down to see Adrian straight away. And he said, he's like, I know you're not going to believe this right now, or you can see it or anything. He's like, but you just got to trust me. He's like, put your trust in me. And he's like, you will feel better. He's like, it'll take a long time, but you will. And he gave me all the relevant advice and support, and has to this day, he's still support. And I guess he's a bit like my sponsor, so to speak. And then after that, I went to the doctors, and I said, like, I went and I was like, I think I'm an alcoholic. I'm fucked. And to be totally honest, they were fucking useless. I lost so much respect for that side of the NHS stuff that day, and my onward journey with that side, because they said, right, okay, well, there was a charity in the area they put me onto, which was funded by the government or whoever, but they'd recently cut a lot of funding. So anyway, it took me about 2 months to be seen. And I got there and they said, what, you're not drinking now? I said, no, I haven't been drinking for 2 months. And they said, well, we can't help you then. We just help you get off, not the ongoing support. I think, for fuck's sake, what a waste of time. So that was that. So my main support really was Adrian. I know a lot of other musicians who are sober too. I managed to find someone through a separate alcohol charity, which it was like, wasn't therapy, but it was someone else who was an alcoholic, but it was one-on-one. And I went into total pragmatic mode and then trust of what Adrian said, and did all the the right things, I guess, to get my shit together.
Mm.
And luckily, because I want to be the best at everything and I get addicted to stuff, I think I got addicted to sobriety.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. So it totally went the other way. It's like,
Yeah. Well, that's what I've done, mate. Like I'm the same. I mean, a lot of people I talk to are all or nothing people, you know. So I often say to them, you've got the ability to turn this around the other way now.
yeah,
What you've done.
exactly. And if you throw that energy, the amount of time and energy drinking and partying takes up, if you can throw even 10% into that, into like sorting your shit out, you're going to be one of the most successful people in the world.
Yeah.
Because partying like that is so exhausting. It's, yeah. So, yeah, I remember the first 100 days was hell. I just remember thinking what is the point in any of it? And I remember seeing a bit of light, I guess, at the end of the tunnel. I thinking, oh, okay, it's a glimpse. And it got to 6 months, and I was in the car with a musician on the way back from a gig, and I was like, fuck. And I had a bit of like an epiphany, I guess. I was like, shit. And I felt like I was on drugs, but it was a natural high.
Yeah.
And I'd done a good gig, and I was like, shit, all that hard work is paying off. And again, it wasn't like life was immediately fantastic, but I had that thing, and it was like fucking brilliant. And I will never forget that moment. And that is one of the things which helps keep me sober, is having that feeling and all that absolutely fucking amazing stuff which comes with being sober and recovering or abstaining from something you felt like you were powerless over. Because someone said to me even 4 years ago from now, you're going to be sober in however long, I would have told them to fuck off and laughed at them.
I hear you, mate. I mean, I was drinking 40 years, and that I thought that was it. I thought I'd have a funeral with all the barmen around the bloody grave. Do you know what I mean? Mourning the loss of my income. But and did you find your music then improved? Obviously, because like that must have had an impact.
Yeah. I think I was one of the lucky ones who could still function and be totally normal and play normal, even though I was blackout pissed. Because there was one occasion where one of my friends and musicians thought, you know what, I'm going to film Jack to show him what. And because he knew that I wouldn't remember this particular gig, and he filmed a whole set of the gig. And it's still on YouTube somewhere. And there's clips of me, I'm playing along, one stick swinging out a bottle of wine with the other. And I don't remember a fucking thing from that night.
Yeah.
And anyway, my playing was actually all right. But yeah, since I stopped, because I thought it was going to suffer, I've always liked the pain which drinking caused, because it given me sort of inspiration to put into music. And quite cliche, I guess, but it's always worked. I play from the heart. But when I started to get better from drinking and feel the benefits of not drinking, my playing just went so much better. And even every fucking year, there's improvement, whereas before it was staying where it was. And I think that applies to every part of life. When you're drinking, you're not necessarily moving forward. You're going backwards, if anything, with the level of drinking people like us were doing.
Yeah.
If at best you're staying in the same place, and that massively applies to music. And I was under an illusion that I thought I was going to get worse, but it is not the case. I'm playing better than I have ever done. And it's because I now have the power and the clarity in my head to be able to do that and absorb stuff. And I'm not numb anymore.
So when you like a session musician, are you? Like,
I'm a freelance live musician.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So when you freelance for these bands, are the majority of them drinkers?
Yeah, so a lot of that jazz world is some of the worst, actually, for drinking. Not necessarily drugs, but drinking. It is so fucking normal. And I guess like the rest of society, it's weird if you don't drink, and it's the only thing you have to justify. The only drug you have to justify not taking. Like, it's fucking mental, really. And I'm really against that now. But I used to be one of those wankers who'd be like, oh, come on. Like, what? Just have a fucking drink. But I now know that was to make myself feel better about my own drinking.
Well, we've all done that. I mean, I look back at me I was a cliche drinker of why are you even out then if you're not drinking?
Yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean?
exactly. So yeah, that world is very much like that, and is still like that, and I think it will die like that.
Mm,
I've recently got into, since the pandemic, because the jazz scene didn't come back with the same force as it used to. So to make a bit of money and make a living, I got into working alongside DJs playing percussion in nightclubs. So then to walk into a nightclub stone cold sober, and I've always hated nightclubs anyway. I'd like a quiet, dingy, dark bar.
mm,
Um, Stone cold sober to stand up on my own in front of all these people who are fucked out of their heads and play something I'm not massively confident in. That was quite an empowering situation because that gave me so much confidence to
mm,
be able to be in that situation where a lot of people are drinking. There's a lot of drugs in that world. So a lot of people take cocaine to stay awake in that industry of the musician side of it rather than get pissed because that just
mm,
makes you tired.
mm,
But
mm,
um, I think in a weird sort of way, if I was in a situation where I could totally cut off from the world of drink and drugs, and I would have done because it would have been easier. But because of my work, I've had to be exposed to it. I think that's made me stronger in my recovery and sobriety. And
mm,
now I walk into these situations and I feel so fucking powerful to be able to be stood there sober. And people
mm.
are coming up like, go on, just have a drink. It's like, no, fuck off. And to be able to, yeah, I get quite blunt with people in the nightclub situations. um, but or even people coming up offering me cocaine. I've walked into the toilet, into the cubicles, and there's been just a fucking line on the side. And to actually, I could do that and no one would ever know. But
Mm.
I still luckily have something where it's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, you'd be lying to yourself, wouldn't you? Even,
Exactly, which is the worst.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, I'm massively surrounded by all that all the time on a daily basis. And yeah, I can't lie, it gets tiresome. And I think a lot of the time I wish I wasn't. But that's the world we live in, and we can't change that, can we?
and it's constant work because we're surrounded by it. We are wherever we go, and you're a musician. I've had a few on here. James Vetcolodi, Def Havana. He was
Yeah.
so pissed one night on a gig that he was singing into a microphone that wasn't there. It was 10 foot away.
Yeah.
And his mate went and said, "Do you know the mic's over there?" Oh, is it? But more and more musicians and artists and people in the industry are choosing sobriety now, and it's
Yeah,
great to see.
but I think musicians especially are rebellious. There's something about which is rebellion. And I think it's becoming the way to rebel is to not drink these
Mm,
days because society is so geared up towards it. Like stuff I've really started to realize more recently after doing more research on it. And I read Catherine Gray's latest book. I can't remember what it's called actually, the latest one. The first one, and
Sunshine
it's
Sober, that one.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
And have you read it?
yeah, I have. It's really good,
Yeah.
actually.
And there's a lot of facts in there, isn't there,
Yeah,
about stuff which fucking blew my mind. And I was
yeah.
3.5 years into sobriety
Yeah,
still.
interesting conversation about the disease area, which I'm on with that.
Yeah.
That's another podcast in itself. But
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so stuff how the whole world is like based upon the alcohol, especially the Western world
yeah,
is like hotels. You take alcohol away, it's like fucking restaurants, football match, everything, music. I host events, and I host events in churches, not because I'm a religious, but because I think they're beautiful venues.
yeah,
And but a big problem I come up against a lot of the time is they're always bring your own drinks events. A lot of churches, Methodist churches, there's no alcohol allowed, so I can't then put on an event then because as much as I'd love to have no alcohol, I have to have alcohol there because no one would fucking come.
I bet I could get it filled up. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you could. Yeah, but that is just how it is. I
Yeah,
think the moment it's definitely becoming more and more accepted to not drink, and
yeah,
like stuff like even meeting people through your Instagram page and all these online societies or whatever you want to call them, there is a big community out there, and it's a bloody fucking good one.
Oh, it's huge.
And
It's huge. Like,
yeah,
you know, I could talk for hours about what you said about the lack of help that people get
yeah,
with the doctors and stuff like that is an absolute joke.
yeah,
And how many funding's been cut. It's horrendous. And
yeah,
I like to think that the online community can offer a safe space for people to explore
yeah,
sobriety and reach out as well. There's so many different things you can do nowadays, and it's definitely turning. It's a slow cog, but it's
yeah.
turning. And like I was going to say, that night in the 100 Club, I don't think anyone was pissed. I
No,
honestly don't. And everyone was having such. I mean, Joe Webb's amazing anyway,
yeah,
but the band, it was fantastic, and people didn't need drink. Do you know what I mean?
no,
It was just a lovely, lovely aura going on in that room. You know, I mean, it's that kind of venue anyway. But
yeah.
you know, I just think things are, you can enjoy yourself about drugs and booze, and you have to experience it to realize it, because when you're drinking, you're like, what are you talking about? You have to get pissed, pre-drinks, whatever. But once you start to experience it, you can really see what it's like
Yeah.
to rip the blinkers off and see life in its full glory, you know?
Well, you're not numbed, are you? It's
Ah,
you feel more raw to everything. I told you when I saw you the other day. I remember when I first started to get a bit of clarity after being sober. I walked down my road where I've been my whole life, and I saw some trees I've never fucking seen. I thought, shit, they're really
where have
nice.
they been? They weren't
Yeah,
here yesterday.
no, they've been here for fucking 200 years. I just,
I've only just
yeah,
seen them.
yeah, but I just see it's like shit. So
I know,
it,
Jack. But look, mate, I have to try and wind up a bit because I like to keep these to about an hour, because
yeah, yeah,
people listen to them on the way to work or in the gym or whatever, and I could talk to you for literally hours.
yeah.
But what's next for you? You're 4 years sober. You're 29. You're a great, fantastic musician. What's next?
So I'm currently, so yeah, I've just come back from Italy on the bike. I actually have filmed a load of footage from it on a GoPro. I've done a vlog, which is quite an honest vlog, and I'd quite like to get into that side of stuff to show an insight of being on the road, not just on a motorbike, but my traveling to gigs and the unglamorous side, which is most of the time, of being a musician. So I'm working on that at the moment. I'm moving forward my events, putting stuff back on, which is what I was doing before the pandemic. So I put jazz concerts on in beautiful venues, basically around Cheshire at the moment, hoping to expand. And then, yeah, me and Adrian Cox have got a fair few things in the pipeline, actually, quite exciting things, which I'm not going to say anything about yet, but there's all that. So life's
Amazing,
actually really exciting. It's
fantastic.
yeah, it's really, there's a few shit things happening. I'm sadly going for a breakup at the moment, but fortunately, I think if I was drinking, it'd be a totally different story. I wouldn't be sat here talking to you, but
Mm, mm,
I actually have the tools to deal with that now.
mm.
Through I've learned through recovery. Do you know what I mean? And life's still
Clarity, isn't it? It's having a clear, like all the decisions that you're making, and with
exactly.
clarity rather than through a blur and regretting things after. And
That's it. It does. Getting sober doesn't fix your issues, but it gives you the clarity to fucking
yeah,
deal with them,
yeah,
which I now feel the full benefit of. So
yeah.
yeah, life's not always fantastic, but I'm certainly excited for the rest of life, which I never used to be. I never wanted to be alive, and now I fucking love being alive. So
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, mate. Especially, you know, listening back to this podcast, hearing how bad it got for you, you know,
yeah,
bloody turning yellow is a bit of a sign, isn't it? I think.
yeah, yeah, a little
You know?
bit.
But you know what? My Instagram followers are probably sick to death of me posting pictures of churches on my page.
Yeah,
But I've got into just sitting in a church now at any time of the
yeah,
day in the quiet, and I absolutely love it. So if you have got any gigs outside Cheshire, mate, let me know and I'll be
yeah,
the first one there. Because I think listening to a jazz band, I listened to it's not exactly jazz, but Katie Mellior at the Albert
Yeah,
Hall, and it was one of the most beautiful gigs I've been to because it was so gentle and calm, and it was just such a lovely experience. You
yeah,
know, I was
yeah.
probably on the head at the time, but she is great. You know, and I
Yeah, she's
remember that.
wonderful.
Yeah, she is wonderful. And yeah, so churches to me are a lovely space to sit and think about things, you
Well,
know.
they're so relaxing and peaceful, and there's a certain serenity about them you can't really find elsewhere. And for me,
No,
it's never, again, nothing to do with religion. It's just the surroundings and
yeah,
the
yeah,
stillness of it all.
it's beautiful. Well, look, Jack, it's been really, really amazing to have you on as a guest. And you're an amazing man. You're 29 years old. You're a year older than my son.
Am
So
I?
yeah,
Ah,
my son's 29 in January. And
wow.
he's doing his own thing. He's a DJ, and he does a lot of
Yeah,
skullduggery in the middle of the night in the East End
I'll
somewhere. I don't know where. I
I'll
don't
probably
really
bump
ask.
into him.
Yeah, yeah, he's a proper character. But it's
Yeah,
been so lovely having you on, mate. And
yeah. Cheers, Dave. Yeah, it's been an
I
absolute
know I'm
pleasure.
going to see you soon, and we can have a lemonade together and
Yes.
carry on the chat.
Yeah.
All right,
Easy.
Jack.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks ever so much, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, mate.